In today's class, I'm going to explain how to find the distance formula and also how to use the formula. You may get a doubt, why should you learn to find the distance between 2 points? For example, if this kind of triangle is given and if you are asked to find whether is this an equilateral triangle, isosceles triangle, or scalene triangle. So how you are going to find? I know if the lines are vertical or horizontal, then you can count the number of blocks. But in this situation, like in this particular question, what is the length of these line segments means you have to use the distance formula. So the distance between these 2 points. Okay. So in the previous classes, maybe last year, you might learn a distance between 2 points equals to x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square under the square root. Under the square root. You may get a doubt how this formula is derived. So let's go to the next page. Here I'm taking two different graphs. First, I'll explain using numbers, then I'll explain Pythagoras theorem. So let me copy a question really quick. Okay. I'm going to draw a right angle triangle here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And okay, let's say that you have been given a triangle ABC. ABC. And you are asked to find what is the length of AB. You know, this is a right triangle. You see that here, BC. Oh, just a moment. Let me write B here, C here. You see that BC is perpendicular to AC. Okay. Let me write what is length of BC, length of AC, length of AC. So here on the horizontal line, you can count the number of blocks 1, 2, 3, 4. So let me erase them. So I see that length of BC is 4 units and length of AC is 1, 2, 3. Therefore, it is 3 units, right? Now, what is the length of AB means? Now, I cannot count the number of blocks because this one is a slanting line. It's a slanting line, right? Then, how to find the length of this one means, you know that we can make use of the Pythagoras theorem. So, let me make use of the Pythagoras theorem here. By Pythagoras theorem, you know that by Pythagoras theorem, that is side square plus side square equals to hypotenuse square. Here, due to lack of place, just I am writing hypo square, but you write as hypotenuse square. So by Pythagoras theorem. Okay. Right. So what is side square means? I know that length of BC is 4 units here and length of AC is 3 units, and what is the length of AB? That's the question, right? Now, one of the sides say that 4 square, side is 4, then according to formula I'm writing square. The other side is 3, then side square equals to hypotenuse square. So what is 4 square? Several times I reminded you it is not 4 times 2, it is 4 times 4, that gives me 16. Then 3 square, that is not 3 times 2, it is 3 times 3, that is 9. that is equals to hypotenuse square. So 16 plus 9, that gives me 25, then hypotenuse square. As you know that how to get rid of this square, you know how to get rid of this one. So the other side we take square root. Therefore, here square root of 25, that's the hypotenuse. So the length of hypotenuse equals to, square root of 25 gives us 5 units. 5 units. Therefore, the length of AB, notice that number of blocks cannot be counted here. So you must use the distance formula. Now you may get a doubt how we got this distance formula x2 minus x1 whole square blah blah blah. If you want to make use of the distance formula, make use of the distance formula, just let me move this one here. The other side I am doing. Let's identify what are the points of A. A is on x-axis I see that 5 and on y-axis it is 6. So it's going to be 5, 6. This is point A coordinates. Point B is you can see that x is 1 and y is 3. Therefore, it is 1, 3. So, in case if I'm using the distance formula, just give me a second. Let me move this part from here to here so that I'll get some extra space. Okay. So if I'm using distance formula, okay, distance formula equals to x2 subtract x1 whole square plus y2 subtract y1 whole square under the square root. I personally prefer to label the points. It doesn't matter which point is your first point. Is it point A or point B? So you can take either. Like if you want, you can take point A as x1, y1 or the point B as x1, y1. It doesn't matter. So here I'm taking as say x1, y1 and point A as x2, y2. So according to the formula, please notice that if I take x2 subtract x1 means you see that x2 is here, which is 5. X1 you see that it is 1, right? So let me plug in these values. X2 is 5 subtract x1 is 1 square plus what is y2? You can see that it is 6 units here subtract y1, that is 3 units. So let me plug in these values. So y1 is 3 square. Don't forget to keep the square root of this one. So what is 5 minus 1? That is 4 square. 6 minus 3, 3 square. And please carry on with the square root symbol. 4 square gives me 16. 3 square gives me 9. Then let me go for addition. Do not compute square root 16 and square root 9 separately. You have to add them first. That gives you 25 and square root of 25 equals to 5. So please notice that whether you use Pythagorean theorem or you use the distance formula, still you got the same answer, right? So if you want, I'll take how this formula is derived. So instead of numbers, let me copy the same kind of diagram once again. Say that from this point, 1, 2, 3, 4 units here, and then 1, 2, 3 units here, and then join them. Yeah, technically I'm taking the same triangle once again. Let me label this one as this is point A, then point B and point C. Please, please, please be attentive. I'm instead of numbers, I'm taking this one as x1, y1, and next this is x2, y2, and next if you notice what are the points of C, what are the points of C here? So let me write the values. The value of C, x is 5, x is 5, and what is the value of y means it is 3, so 5 comma 3. So please, please, please observe carefully that the value of x is same as this one. The value of x is same as this one. Let me increase the thickness so that we can highlight this one. Okay, so the value of x is taken from here, and coming to the next part, the value of y is taken from here, right? Now, what to do is, let me take my pen again. So here, now observe carefully. So this point, can I say x2? Technically I should not, but the values I should not say like x2 y1, but if I compare these numbers, I'm based on that I'm taking as x2 y1. Okay, right? Now let's use Pythagoras theorem here. Pythagoras theorem. By Pythagoras theorem, that is side square plus side square equals to hypotenuse square. Here we counted the number of blocks, or else you can find the difference of these two. Do you see that the difference of 1 and 5, that gives you 4 units. Right? Therefore, in the same way here, the difference of 1 and 5 means that is these two values, right? If I take in the same way, then I have to take the difference of these two, which is x2 minus x1 whole square plus and the second part, how did you get 3 units here? 3 units here means you may say that it is 6 minus 3. 6 minus 3, that gives you 3, right? In the same way, this is instead of 6 and 3, I have to take please notice that this is going to be y2 and this is going to be y1. If you want, you can compare with this diagram. So that's going to be y2 minus y1 whole square equals to, let's say that I don't know what is the hypotenuse. Therefore, this is the hypotenuse square. Okay. So once when you get to this point, you know how to eliminate square here. So here my hypotenuse is, it is AB. So here I'm trying to eliminate this square, so as you know that we get the square root symbol on the other side. Therefore it is x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. This is how we derived. Oops, I'm sorry. So when I take square root, then the other side I have to remove this one. So this is the distance between the 2 points. This is the distance between the 2 points. So this is how we derive the formula. Okay. Any questions on this? Well, let me go to the next question. Let's do one thing. This question again will use the Pythagoras theorem formula, and also let's use the distance formula. So let's try in both the ways. The first one I'm using the Pythagoras theorem to solve this problem, and the second one is I'm going to use distance formula. So let's see in both the ways how we are going to end up. If I'm taking the Pythagoras theorem, as you know that it is side square plus side square equals to hypotenuse square. So what is the side means? Here I'm marking a point C, and let me count the number of boxes or blocks: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Therefore, one of the sides that is length of BC, you can see that point B here, point C is here, length of BC is going to be 8 units. So side is square, so let me take 8 square, and the length of AC, 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4, 5, and 6. Therefore, side is square, so it is going to be 6 square equals to hypotenuse square. So what is 8 square means? It's going to be 8 times 8, 64. 6 square, 6 times 6 is 36 equals to hypotenuse square. 64 plus 36 you may add, so that you get 100. You may use calculator. Then hypotenuse square is 100. As you know that how to eliminate this one, the other side we get a square root. So what is square root of 100 means? You know, either you can use calculator, or else it's a very simple answer to say that it is 10 units. So length of hypotenuse, which is AB here, length of AB equals to 10 units. But if you are given a graph paper or coordinate plane, you can plot the points and you can count to the number of blocks. But assume that if you are given a question like 5, 6, then maybe some 8, negative 12 kind of thing. Assume that you don't have access to a graph sheet. Then what you can do is you can take the first point as x1, y1 and the second point as x2, y2. Then you can make use of the distance formula. Okay, but before that, let's check whether the distance formula or Pythagoras theorem are we getting the same answer or not. So let me write the distance formula. Distance formula is x2 subtract x1 whole square plus y2 subtract y1 whole square under the square root. My bad, I think due to lack of space, just I am writing too closely. Now let's label these. As I told you before, it doesn't matter. If you want, you can take point B as x1, y1, or else if you want, you can take point A as x1, y1. It doesn't matter. So here, this is my second point. This is my second point. So now let me plug in the values. The value of x2, I see that it is 3 here, and x1 is negative 5. Therefore, it is 3 subtract negative 5. Oh. So here I see that two negative signs are occurring side by side. So let me put an extra parenthesis. Plus y2, I see that it is 4 units here, and y1 is negative 2. Therefore, it is 4 subtract negative 2. Again, I see that two negative signs are occurring side by side. Therefore, let me take an extra parenthesis. In fact, majority of the students tend to make a mistake when they take the double negative sign. Okay, and again, I know most of you are smart and you can compute what is negative of negative 5. So 3 plus 5. Instead of doing those kind of oral calculations, I personally prefer you write every step, because when in case if you get a wrong answer, always you can go back and check. You can check. In fact, I personally prefer to write maybe an extra step, like 3 plus 5 square, and the next step is going to be 8 square, and here 4 negative of negative, that gives me positive 2 square. At times we may be overconfident. That time we may make mistakes. So there's nothing wrong if you write an extra step. So here 4 plus 2, that gives me 6 square. 6 square. Then 8 square, it is not 8 times 2, it is 8 times 8, 64. And 6 square, 6 times 6, that is 36. Then 64 plus 36, that gives me 90. Yeah, it is 100. Square root of 100, that gives me 10 units. So the distance between point A and B, the distance between point A and B is 10 units. You see that whether you use Pythagorean theorem or the distance formula, still you are getting the same answer. Right? So this Pythagoras theorem is good when you are given the points on a coordinate plane. Okay, so if the coordinate plane is not given, then you are forced to use the distance formula. Okay, in fact, that is the easiest way too. Quickly, a few questions. First of all, identify and label the points as x1, y1, then x2, y2. Okay, so let's focus on the first question. Then we can go to the next question a little later. Okay, so let me write the distance formula here. I don't have the luxury of using the Pythagoras theorem, because first of all there is no graph sheet, so that I can't plot the points. So let me use the distance formula. Distance equals to x2 subtract x1 whole square plus y2 subtract y1 whole square, and everything is under the square root. So x2, which is 5, when you plug in, please be careful. X2 subtract x1, I see that it is -1. So negative of -1, take an extra parenthesis, square, plus y2, you see that 2 subtract 3, therefore 2 subtract 3 whole square. Then this is under the square root. Oops. Okay, so 5 negative of -1, that gives me positive sign, so 5 plus 1 square plus 2 minus 3, let it be 2 minus 3 square. Okay, and though it takes a while extra, but still I suggest you to write stepwise. 5 plus 1, that gives me 6 square, and 2 minus 3, that is -1 square. It is not just -1 square, it is -1 whole square. So I mean to say that here, when you take -1 square and -1 square, these two are different. If you keep -1 whole square, means if you keep parenthesis, it is -1 times -1. So negative of negative, that is positive 1 times 1. Otherwise, the square belongs to only to this number here. So what happens is negative 1 times 1, 1 times 1, that gives me 1, so it is -1. So these two are not the same. You see that these two are not the same. So if you don't keep parentheses, the value will be changed. So let me clear it off. That's the reason here I'm keeping parentheses. 6 square, 6 times 6 is 36, and negative 1 square, negative 1 of negative 1, that gives me positive 1. So sometimes we may not be able to compute the square root value, so let it be square root of 37. A small tip, during testing, you may be having some other values. For example, A, B, C, D values are say given that, just I'm giving an example, 2 root 3, 3 root 2, and 4 root 5, and you are not sure whether which answer is going to match here, which answer is going to match here. Okay, just I'm taking randomly some numbers. I know that they are not correct, just I'm giving an example. So convert these values to a decimal. When you type it on a calculator, you will get the answers in decimals. Okay, and this one also you convert into a decimal number, this one into a decimal value, and see which of these values, which value is matching here, right? Because whatever the answer you got, sometimes you may not see this value, you may not see what are the answer you obtained in the given options. In such case, you better convert everything into decimals and try to match them up. Okay, so let me clear it off, and let's go to the next question. Before that, any questions on this? Okay, let's go to the next question. As I told you before, please label the points x1, y1, x2, y2. Now, let me write the distance formula. Distance equals to x2 subtract x1 whole square plus y2 subtract y1 whole square under the square root. Okay, now here what is x2 means? It is negative 4 subtract negative 8. x2 subtract x1. Therefore, it is negative 4 subtract negative 8. Here I see that again side by side negative signs are there, so you may use double parenthesis. Okay, plus y2, which is 10 here, and y1 is negative 6. So y2 subtract y1, that is 10 minus negative 6. 10 minus negative 6. Again, use the double parenthesis whole square. Then the distance formula, don't forget the square root sign. So negative 4, negative of a negative 4, this gives me positive 8. As I told you before, you may be very confident of solving these kind of signs, but still I strongly recommend you to take an extra step. Negative of negative, that gives me positive 6 square. Now, square root symbol I forgot. So negative 4 and positive 8. You know how to simplify these two values. So that gives me 4, positive 4 square plus 10 plus 6, 16 square under the square root. So what is 4 square? 4 times 4, that gives me 16. 16 times 16. I know the answer, but I want to make sure that I'm doing correct. So let me grab my calculator. 16 times 16, it is 256. So 256. So when you combine these two, 256 plus 16, you get that to 272. In my previous example, I explained that sometimes some teachers prefer to write this one as a mixed number. So for that, how to solve means, let me move my screen a little this side. Okay. Now think of factorization, prime factorization. You take 272, 2 here, 2 times 1. Then I hope you know how to do the division, right? So just I'm dividing 272 by 2, then I got 136. Then may I divide by 2? Yes. 2 6 are 12. Then 12 means 1 is left, 2 8s are. So 68. Then 2 times 3, 4. 2 times 4. Then 2 times 17. Now, can you divide 17 by any value means? No, right? So let me take 17 times 1. So you keep dividing until you get 1, until you get 1 here, right? Now, 272 may be written as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 17. Just this one, like these values are these factors I copied here. Then you see that this is a pair. I hope you know how to find the square root. It is technically square root of 4. And this one is square root of 4 again, or else you can consider as a pair, right? So you get here 2 and 2 here, and the value of square root cannot be computed, so let it be as a square root of 17. Square root of 17. Therefore 2 times 2 times 2, that gives me 4. Let me move it is 4, and square root of 17. This is the answer. As I told you before, in case if you have any difficulty, suppose if it is a test, and you may stop working here, and you can convert this one into a decimal. You can convert this one into a decimal value, and you look for the options. What kind of options are given, like A, B, C, D, like say 2 root 17, 3 root 17, say 4 root 17, then 5 root 17. Okay. Now, please notice that in case you got the answer till here, and your final answer, which is square root of 272, is not matching with any of the given options A, B, C, D, right? Then in such case, what I recommend is you convert all these values to decimals. You convert this one into a decimal. This value, you may type it on a calculator. What is the value of 3 square root of 17, or 3 times square root of 17? Then you will get the answer as a decimal. Okay. And square root of 272 also you convert into decimal. Now see that which decimal is matching with your answer. Therefore, that's the answer. Okay. Any questions on this? Okay, let's go to the next question. Again, here, describe and correct the error in finding the distance between 6 to 1 negative 4. This is really a very good error analysis. In case if any students are making a mistake, x1, y1, this is x2, y2. First of all, label them. Okay, then observe carefully. If I were you, my style of working is first I ignore whatever the question is given. I don't look at the options. And I follow my own style of doing, and then I check. Like distance formula is x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. So just plug in the values x2 minus x1. Those values are 1 minus 6 whole square plus what is y2 negative 4 subtract 2. Therefore it is negative 4 subtract 2 whole square. Okay, so I'm not looking at whatever the other analysis is given. Now what is 1 minus 6? 1 minus 6. If you want, you can make use of calculator. That gives me negative 5 square, negative 4, negative 2, negative 4, negative 2. That gives me negative 6 square. Okay, then that is under the square root. So negative 5 square means negative of negative 5 of negative 5. Negative 5 times negative 5, that gives me positive 25 plus negative 6 times negative 6, that gives me positive 36. So let me add them. Then that gives me 25 plus 36, that is square root of 61. And let me compute what is the value of square root of 61 on my calculator. Just let me grab my calculator. Then square root of 61, 7.81. This is not equal to it is approximately, so it is 7.81 because I'm not taking the other values like 7.8102499676. So whatever I'm writing, it is close to that, so just approximately equal to 7.81. I don't see that value either in the first one or second one. Now I have to identify the mistake. Please notice that if you write the distance formula every time, you can avoid a lot of mistakes. I don't see that formula is written here. That's the reason the students might got the wrong answer. Oh, it's evident that if you compare your working with the first one, you see that the square root symbol is missing. If you put that square root symbol, then you got the answer. Do you see that? If you put the square root symbol, you got the answer. So always I recommend you to write the formula so that you can avoid a lot of mistakes. And second one seems to be okay, the square root, and let me compare my numbers here. Are they matching? It is 1 minus 6 and 6 minus 2. So let me see what are these 6 and 2. Oh my gosh, here 6 and 2 means the student subtracted x1 minus y1. Does it make sense? X1 minus y1 are taken, which is not correct because the formula says that x2 minus x1. If you want, you can write x1 minus x2, doesn't matter, but x1 minus y1 square. And if you see that it is taken that x2 minus y2 square, which is not correct. That's the mistake. Okay. Any questions on this? Again, I recommend you to write the formula so that you can avoid a lot of mistakes. So let's go to the next question. The figure shows the position of three players during part of a water polo match. Player A throws ball to player B, who then throws ball to player C. How far did player A from? Okay, so player A is here. Okay, and how far did player A from? Player B is here. Okay. So the question is, what is the distance, because while throwing the ball, what is the distance? How far would next question also I'm reading, how far would player A have to throw the ball to throw it directly to player C? Okay, in case if player A has to throw to player C this way, then how far he has to throw? Okay, so the question is, what is the length of, I would say that what is the length of AC here? And the first one is, what is the length of AB? What is the length of AB? Right? So in both the cases, we have to use the distance formula. We have to use the distance formula. Don't forget, I recommend you to write the distance formula every time. X2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. Everything is under the square root, and then plug in the values. This is you may take as x1 x2, sorry, x1 y1, and this one as x2 y2. Therefore, what is x2 minus x1 means it is 18 minus 8 whole square. 18 minus 8 whole square plus y2 is 7 minus 4 whole square. It is 7 minus 4 whole square. So I'm not continuing this one because I know that you can do it. So just I'm discontinuing from here. And the next question also, distance formula is x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. Then here just plug in the values. Remember, this time we are taking AC, right? So this is my x1 y1 and this one is my x2 y2. So x2 subtract x1, which is 24 subtract 8. 24 subtract 8 whole square. Y2 is 14 subtract 4. 14 subtract 4 square under the square root. Okay, I'm not continuing from here because I know that you can make use of calculator and you can do it. Okay, any questions on this?